All right, you guys have stayed with us on the previews. We're going to get to my favorite segment of the week. Let's go ahead and talk about who we like.
Starts of the week.
All right, guys, let's kick this off. I was surprised that my guy was available because he was Mike's stream of the week.
He is.
And he is my start of the week at the quarterback position, and that is Captain Kirk Cousins. And there is one reason, and it's 2 words, and the 2 words are New Orleans.
Yep.
They're giving up the 2nd most points per game in the league, the 3rd most passing yards per game, and have a league worst 24-4 touchdown to interception ratio. They are not playing good football on that side, and Kirk Cousins has every opportunity to have a sneaky streaming start
Absolutely.
this week.
And I got Mr. BB, Blake Bortles. He is a multi-touchdown machine, and he gets the Ravens. So very similar to the Kirk Cousins logic.
And that was my stream of
Does
the
he
week.
need Hearns?
I think he'll be okay without Hearns.
Okay.
It's a neat little triangle here because I was going to go with Blake Bortles, who was my stream of the week, as my start of the week, but then he was taken as well. So I am going right across the field in that same game,
This
and I'm
is
going
a
to go
bold move,
with
Cotton.
Joe. Well,
I like it. I
yeah,
like it.
Joe Flacco, like we said earlier, you pointed out that the run defenses are legit in both of these games, but the pass defenses are lousy. So the ball's going to be going through the air. I like Joe Flacco in this matchup against Jacksonville's secondary. So, we've seen a couple games right in a row here where, against San Diego, he had over 300 yards. He had 343 yards and 2 touchdowns against San Francisco. So when he's in those beatable matchups, he's been doing very well. So even without Steve Smith, I think you can start Joe Flacco this week.
All right, why don't you go ahead and give us your running back, and we'll come back through with our running back starts of the week.
All right, well, my running back we teased at the beginning of the show, it's actually James Starks. If you're a James Starks owner, there's fear about whether or not you can trust starting him and playing him. Mike McCarthy coming out and saying that he's the starter, the matchup. I mean, come on, this is the Lions. I have said for the last 2 years that I think James Starks is a very talented running back. He has always shown that when he gets his opportunity. Opportunity comes, matchup comes. I have him as a top 10 running back this week. So go ahead and start James Starks.
And I'm going with Legarrette Blount. Most carries of his career in a single game last week. Pour one out for Dion Lewis because he's down. And my notes here say Giants defense, sad face.
That is some astute statistical analysis there.
That's all you need to know about the Giants defense is a sad face emoticon, and I expect Blount to get a healthy amount of carries.
Did you happen to see Jason Pierre-Paul's comments on Brady?
No.
Where he said, like, well, maybe he'll have an off day, or maybe he's sick. I hope he's sick. That would help us out a lot.
Yes.
Very honest. I like that.
The influenza defense.
Yeah, the influenza. It's smart. All right. My running back start of the week is in stark contrast to Jason's opinion on him, but I think this is muscle hamster time. I think Doug Martin has a bounce-back game against the league's worst run defense right now, and that's the Dallas Cowboys.
Huh.
They are I think this game stays close, first of all. I think Tampa wins the game, and I think that puts Doug Martin in a position to be a cog in that. So that's just, that's where I'm at with Doug Martin. He's my running back start of the week. I know people are super disappointed in him, but that's where I'm at.
I'm going to rattle off my final 2 because I might have to duck out here
Okay.
for a
you got to
phone
hop
call.
on a radio call.
Wide receiver, I'm going with Kamar Aiken because I believe in Joe Flacco this week at home against the Jags. No Steve Smith. Kamar Aiken, he's been decent in his when he's given the opportunity, and the Jaguars been giving up 200 yards and 2 touchdowns to the wide receiver position the last 3 weeks. So I think that's a great matchup. Tight end, Rule 86, baby. Rule 86. New Orleans.
You got to say his name.
No, he doesn't need to be named.
He does for people who don't know who you're talking
But
about.
Jordan Reed is Rule 86.
Jordan Reed, the New Orleans defense is hemorrhaging. In the last 2 weeks when Jordan Reed finally came back, guess what? He's the target leader in Washington. He's Kirk Cousins' go-to guy. The Saints defense, in particular against tight ends, can be atrocious. At home, I love Jordan Reed here.
All right, then, Jason, why don't you tell me who your wide receiver start of the week is?
My wide receiver start of the week is a very, very easy call because he's in so many games. It's Devin Funchess. He is going to catch the ball from so many quarterbacks. It is fantastic. No, my start of the week is actually Brandon LaFell. Brandon LaFell has come back off of injury, steadily improved each game. 2 catches, 4 catches, 5 catches, 25 yards, 47, 102 yards, and now he comes up in a very winnable matchup against New York Sadface. They're the 21st ranked against the wide receiver. And with Dion Lewis going out, more balls going to be going around to other targets. So I really like Brandon LaFell this week.
One thing I noticed in the game last week when it was kind of put away and they were still throwing the ball, they were working on LaFell. Like, he got 3 or 4 targets at the end of the game, including a screen pass, giving him the opportunity to get downfield. You could tell they were working that part of the offense out when the game was out of – I love that start. I really like that start.
They need him.
I have him at 17 this week, and I'm going to move him up.
Man,
you have him at 8.
You guys are killing me. Because I have to decide LaFell or Snead.
He's sitting here, and he thought he knew.
No, I've been
still
leaning.
deciding?
I've been leaning Snead, but that's just because the Snead matchup is so great.
Yeah. So my wide receiver start of the week.
Hey, Foot Clan. I'll see you guys later.
All
Goodbye.
right, see you, Mike. All right, the wide receiver start of the week for me is Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson. Is that allowed? I think they benefit the same way that Kirk Cousins is my start of the week. So I think somebody benefits on that side. I think Deshaun Jackson is going to get involved. I think Pierre Garçon is going to be involved, and both of them are going to have good games. If I had to just pick one, it'd be Garçon for the baseline. But he hasn't had any boom games. So if you need boom, go Djax. If you need base, go Garçon. Both have good games for me.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a boom in Djax's hamstring.
Yeah, that's the risk that you run with Djax. So
yeah,
if you need to be safe.
Yeah, at least you do know that, though. You know going in you could get a dud, but you could also – I could easily see him having a great game. My tight end –
Mine is Eric Ebron. What's yours?
Yes, you wish it was Eric Ebron, but that is mine. We didn't talk about it too much, but in the Green Bay game, their secondary is really hurt. They have given up a lot of scores to the tight end. Eric Ebron has actually been a fantastic player this year. He's been used in the passing game. He's been used in the red zone. His injury kind of hurt his momentum. His, how people think about a player. They started to rise on him. He got hurt, and then he came back strong. But he's on enough waivers where you can pretty much pick him up for about half of the leagues, and he's a great start this week. So I like Eric Ebron. Somebody wrote in asking between, I think it was Vernon Davis.
Oh, goodness.
And someone on bye. So go get Eric Ebron.
Yeah, and the thing is they're going to be in a comeback situation most likely. They're in Green Bay. They're going to need to throw the ball. And so you've got kind of the production available for him. And so I really liked Ebron. He was a guy that I had selected before I noticed you had claimed him. And so another guy that I like, I can't say that I'm in love with, but I like him a lot, is Jason Witten this week. He still had 6 catches last week. This is the week I think that, tight end cannot be covered very well by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Witten is a good bet for 5 or 6 catches and a chance at a touchdown. So, last week it was Delaney Walker. This week it's Jason Witten for me. So I'm going to move forward with him.
Yeah, and really, Jordan Reed is the best start here. I just love Mike's pick. What percentage is Jordan Reed owned? Take a guess, Andy.
By
this point, he's been putting up week after week after week. It's got.
This is always a hard. He's got to be over 50%, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, he's definitely over 50%.
Okay. So I don't know. I'm gonna go 75.
73, which means 27.
Okay. No, I can see it.
A quarter of your leagues, Jordan Reed is available in. Again, I think we said this last week. If you're in a league, go look at your waiver. If Jordan Reed is there, pick him up. He needs to be owned.
I think what people want to know, too, is if they're in a situation where they have a Tyler Eifert, Greg Olsen, Rob Gronkowski, do they still go sign Jordan Reed?
Absolutely, because of injury, because of depth, because of matchup, and honestly, we do not say roll 2 tight ends, but if you've got a Jordan Reed and a Tyler Eifert, those are the situations where you might be able to flex a Jordan Reed as your best play. So
yeah,
yes.
That's a good point. So that does it for today's show. Thank you very much for listening. Check us out on the web at thefantasyfootballers.com. We will be back into the fantasy forecast tomorrow, as well as some mailbag questions, the daily dose, and more good stuff. So check us out then.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.thefantasyfootballers.com and follow us on Twitter at @TheFFBallers.
I've done that before. I've done that before because
My favorite part.
I disconnect a little while I'm moving
Yep.
the show along, and then I come back to it. And I'm like,
Oh, that's a Jason move right there. I mean, you just took one out of my playbook. But my favorite part of the show, Devin Funchess